Just gonna get set up to go live on our Facebook and our app, so bear with me here. This is our first time doing a YouTube live, so this is pretty cool. We after lots of feedback from our last few sew-alongs, we have decided to try to do the live YouTube thing. Then our videos have a place to live permanently. You know, it's not just a couple week-long video on Facebook. They live on YouTube for people to reference going forward, which is kind of exciting. Yay. So we're just getting set to do, oops. There we go. All right. There. This is exciting. Okay. How is everybody? Good afternoon, my friends. Who's gonna win my gold star? It's Kelly. Congratulations, Kelly. How is everyone? It's a toasty one out there. This is not my preferred weather by far. So, all right. I'm very excited to host the sew-along for you guys. So we are making the Stitch and Stash tote from Knot and Thread Designs. So your pattern looks like this. It is intended to be quilted with soft and stable, so it's a foam bag. If you've never worked with foam, it is a little bit different, but I don't think it's any more difficult than batting or regular interfacing. So yeah, super excited. Lots of people are so excited. Anybody that bought one of our kits, thank you so much. That was so cool. We did kits kind of on a whim because we thought, should we? And then I don't know exactly how many we sold, but there were 5 different options and you guys went crazy. I sold some of all of them. So that's always a winner. Always a winner. Fair warning to my friends that are commenting right now. I am live on 2 different devices. So I'm looking at one here and looking at another here. We have figured out how to go live on YouTube. If you don't already follow our YouTube channel, make sure you do that. So YouTube is a place where our videos can live and they don't disappear like they do on Facebook. It's less limited with that. So if you are, you know, you're following along now and you're maybe not sewing now, you have a spot to reference later on. So it's exciting. Your pattern just arrived yesterday, so brand new to you. Yes, everyone that ordered a kit, pattern, anything to do with the sew-along that I was aware that it had to do with the sew-along, that has all been sent out. So if you're still waiting for things, I appreciate your patience. You do have this week for quilting and cutting. That is our schedule for this week, is quilting and cutting. So you definitely have time to catch up once you get your things to quilt. So you're not going to be far behind. I was waiting on things to come in so that I could finish my kits to send them out to you. So this one's exciting. It is a very fun tote. My original plan, when I talked about on our last sew-along, was to just kind of go head first and sew it and hope for the best and make it kind of a more authentic experience on our sew-along videos. And then our kits started flying off the shelves and our patterns started flying off the shelves. And I thought, maybe we should practice before we go and sew this live in front of people and not mess it up. But it was a lot of fun. So I have my second one kind of tucked in here, but my first finished tote, this one is beautiful and I love it. So spoiler alert to anybody who bought the Fire Glow Panto, or not Panto, I just read the word Panto from Mary over here. The Fire Glow kit. Oh my gosh, this bag is so cool. So here's what your kit ends up looking like with the Fire Glow. So you have your slip pocket here, your zipper pocket in the front, your handles. Take out my Halloween-y pieces here. The inside is super jazzy. So we've got pockets on both sides. They are assorted sizes. So very, very versatile. I am a big water bottle kind of person. My water bottle that I carry daily is 30 or 32 ounces, and it fits perfectly in this elastic compartment on the inside. So that was very exciting. It was the first thing I tested when it was done. Am I live on YouTube now? Yes, I am. I see people saying hi, which is really cool. I didn't know that I was gonna see comments on YouTube. So this is all brand new to us. So just bear with me here when I'm talking to the two different cameras. I was gonna put them really, really close together, and then I didn't. So we're learning as we go. But this one is really, really fun. Just to clarify, we had an email this morning from, I believe, Birdie, who's on here. She asked, I'm missing the hardware. Am I missing it, or did it not come with it? The kits were not kitted up with the hardware for the eyeglasses case. We just did things to make the tote, so you're not missing it. I asked Jenny, honestly, because the original idea was to do her Halloween one that I've already got cut out. And I said, do you want this? Will you use it? And she said, nope. And I said, me neither. You know, we all have our glasses cases that we like usually, and they would fit really, really well in one of the pockets on the side that you sew into the inside of the bag. So we skipped that part. You are welcome to add it on your own. We'll touch on that when we get to that part of the sewing, but your kit did not include hardware to do it. But you do have plenty of leftover kitted or leftover quilted fabric to make it happen. So all you would need is, I think it's like a triangle ring and a swivel hook, maybe? Could be wrong there, but it's not a lot. It was just something that helped us keep the cost of the kit down, which is why it didn't include soft and stable. Not everybody wants, and not everybody's machine can handle the foam. So some people use batting, some people use fusible fleece or an SF101. It just depends on how you like your tote bags to turn out. Everybody's got personal preferences. So yes. Okay. So let's talk cutting. The cutting instructions in this pattern are great. There's a diagram. I love it when I can see a picture of what I'm supposed to do. So you have your cutting diagram, and I can't show you my pattern. That's copyright. We won't do that. And I'm gonna step up on my soapbox here. Don't be that person that shares and copies your pattern. We want to give all of the respect and all of that to the designer. So make sure you're buying your own copy, whether it's digital or a paper copy, but no copying and no sharing, because it's against the rules and we want to be good quilters. So I'm not going to be able to show you my pattern for any of this, but the pattern has a fantastic cutting diagram. You have a big extra piece along the side that you can turn into like a matching little zipper pouch. If you're going to use this for like an overnight tote, you could do like a matching zip pouch. You could do lots of things. So you have a large, big piece off to the side, which is great. You have some room to move things around. You have a little bit of room to goof. So that's always nice. And it is written for directional fabric, which unintentionally, I know the Fire Glow Dragons kit is directional. The Halloween kit is directional. Then what else did we have? The Tula kit is directional. And then we had the Orchard Run by Noodlehead. That one's not. That one's super easy to cut. You just have to decide basically what direction you want your stuff to go. But it wouldn't matter, I don't think, if you mixed it up. And then the Farmstead Floral is also non-directional. So 3 out of the 5 are directional, but the pattern is written that way, so you really don't have to pay attention to anything except for when you're quilting. You want your fabrics to be going the same way. You don't want dragons up this way and then dragons upside down on the back. Same kind of thing, right? Jerry said, is that how big the bag is? It's a pretty good bag. What does it say it is? 12.5 by 16 by 6.5. So it's a nice size tote. My gusset's kind of squished off to the side. But it's a nice size tote. It's smaller than I thought. I don't have a good spatial guess of how big bags end up. I'm way off every time. But it's a nice size tote bag. I carried it around for a day. Loved it. I was said, if if I was a tote bag kind of gal, this might be my kind of tote bag. But I have tried and failed to carry a tote, and it isn't for me. Birdie says, I always buy directional fabric. Same. but it makes for really cool bags. So the only thing that I tried to do when I was cutting, and this is my Fire Glow one, the Halloween one, it was a non-issue. I tried to make sure I had a dragon because one pocket is a little higher than the other one. I tried to make sure I had one peeking out, which it kind of is. And then on the other side, there's one there, and then my pocket had a good one. And my pocket back here had a good one. I tried to make sure that I could see one good dragon on every panel. My side pieces here for the gusset, he's kind of at the top. That one was kind of in the middle, and the bottom I didn't honestly pay any attention to because I didn't think I was going to see it. 16 is close to a half yard. You know, if you're clever, you could probably do some adjustments along the way. This is the first bag pattern that I've made in quite a while that I did not adjust anything by choice or by accident, because that happens more often than I care to admit. But cutting, it was almost a non-issue. I goofed one time because my chalk line wasn't dark enough for me to see. So what I did use, I used a Sewalong pencil, the regular pencil, for the first time ever. I've had a trio at home forever, and I think I actually broke it. I don't know where it is. So I've just used my chalk roller. I love my chalk roller, but I used a chalk pencil, which has a softer line, and I almost goofed and cut the wrong spot for one of those, but I was measuring everything and darkening my lines so that I was cutting on the right spot every time. So I almost goofed, but you do have some room to cut one or two things a little bit off. And even if you went a little bit off, I bet we could figure it out, how to fix it. So no panicking. But cutting your stuff out, super easy. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, plus the sunglasses clip pocket, if you choose to make that. So I have my gusset pieces. I pinned those all together because they are kind of similar to how big the pockets end up. And I didn't want to accidentally sew a gusset as a pocket and then have a pocket later to sew in as a gusset and have that be really, really wrong. So I did a non-directional quilting pattern, but we're just gonna have to pay attention to make sure our stuff on the shelf stays upright and Jenny doesn't end up with upside down potions and pumpkins. But it's gonna be a blast. So this one is Jenny's. I think Elizabeth called dibs on the dragon one, which is a-okay to me. And then my pocket pieces, so you have a slip pocket and then you have your zippered pocket, and they are very close in dimensions as well. So if you're somebody who is prone to mixing up your pieces, I would label them. And then what I really like to do is after I label them, I like to pin them up on my wall. So I make a little tag. Usually I just rip up Post-its. It works for me. Your Pattern Pals, you could do the same thing there, but these have longer names. So I tend to rip up Post-its and then I pin them on my wall. So everybody who has a different name gets a different spot. And then when I look up, I know, hey, I haven't used my side pocket piece, but my bag's done. What's that about? Ask me how I know. I did that over the weekend. I had my entire bag ready to sew together and I had my last piece, my last side piece here, and I realized that my slip pocket was on the floor. I didn't use my own system. So I had to pick out my already bound bag. Kelly Dale, are you watching? This bag is bound, a baby. I never do that. But I had that side bound and I had forgotten to sew the pocket in. And then I think I left my seam ripper here at the store. So I was stuck. Had to wait until I got my seam ripper back to pick out my binding and re-sew my pocket in, and then re-sew my binding on and sew my binding over. It was silly. So way to go. Yeah, it was great. But that's what I like to do. I like to label and pin stuff up on the wall, like right where I'm sewing. So my machine is here, and then my design wall is just a big piece of styrofoam board from Lowe's. It's like a 4x8 sheet of styrofoam, and actually 2 of them stacked. But right here on my wall. And that is my preferred way to organize, because if I can't see it, if it's on the floor behind me, I'm not going to remember to sew it in. So label your stuff as you go. Even though there's only 7 pieces of your quilted stuff, label your stuff as you go. And then you have a couple pockets. You have some accent fabric that you're using for binding. Now, if you're making this at home and you didn't get one of our kits, that's a-okay. Good on you for using your stash. But our kits all have webbing, which means you have a half of a yard for your accent fabric, which is your bindings for assorted things, you know, the top of your bag, the pockets, things like that. But you're gonna make covers for strapping handles is what you're gonna end up having to do. So webbing, no big deal, no need to cover it. Strapping, yes. What else should we talk about? What else is there to know this week? Really, it's just cutting your stuff, making sure everything is cut and labeled so that it's ready to go next week. And I left my schedule pinned out on my desk. So we have little bits and pieces to tackle every week. I think we have 3 actual weeks of sewing. I can go live another week if you would like for a check-in, just to see how everybody's doing. Are we struggling with anything? But I don't see this being too difficult for anybody. We started really big with our backpack, and then we funneled it down to a little bit simpler stuff. But this one seems to be a hit, and I cannot wait to see everything you guys make. I can't wait to see all of our other kits come to life. I can't wait to see anything you guys are making out of your stash come to life. It's going to be really exciting. So this week we are quilting, we are cutting, and as a little bonus, let's label, because labeling is going to make our life way easy later on. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. I'm just realizing I have no idea how to stop the YouTube live, so it's gonna be so fun. What's the name of the pattern? We are doing the Stitch and Stash tote from Knot and Thread Designs. She's the one that makes the patchwork duffel, and there's a couple other of her patterns that I've made and really liked. I like the way they're written. Her brain must work like mine does, so it's really, really nice. Big fan. So that's all I have. If you guys have questions, call the store, let us know. Our phones are being extra goofy. They are supposed to ring from 8:30 to noon Central Time. That being said, sometimes they ring, sometimes they don't. We are working on switching our phone to something else. But yes. Did you quilt first and then cut pieces? Patty, yes, I did, because I am lucky enough to be able to quilt my things on the long arm. So I had my panels long armed, and then I cut my big pieces. My friend Kelly, sorry Kelly, you're just convenient. You told me your plan. Kelly cuts her pieces and then quilts them. Now, if you plan to do that route, that's a-okay. It works better for a lot of people that have the domestic sewing machines that are smaller. It's way easier to handle like a 16 by something piece of soft and stable and fabric than it is to handle a 36 by 58 piece of soft and stable with fabric. So feel free to cut yours up, but I would size up like a 1/2 inch or so in each direction, and then I would trim down, because stuff tends to shrink a little bit when it's quilted, and we want to make sure we have enough after we've cut and quilted that it's the size it should be, if that makes sense. So, all right, happy quilting, happy cutting, and we will see you back here next week for, I believe, the handles, binding the bag front, bag back, and slip pocket, and maybe attaching the handles to the bag front and bag back panels. I believe that's where we cut off next week. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna sew it right here in front of you. I'm gonna have my camera pointed at me and the sewing machine so that you can see what I'm doing, how I'm sewing, how I'm moving it through the machine, how it's working, all of that good stuff. So we'll see you back here next week. Let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye.